On November 13th, 4 University of Idaho students were found deceased in their off-campus home after being stabbed with a knife. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to go over the most recent press conference. Now, the press conference was fairly long. They did tell us a lot of information we already knew, a few things we didn't, so I put together a little slideshow for us. Our 4 victims are 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves, 21-year-old Madison Mogen, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. Now, this occurred at their off-campus home at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. The home has 3 floors, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2 bedrooms and 1 bath on each floor, a large deck patio, and keypad entry. Law enforcement has put together this timeline. On November 12th, between 10 and 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were at a local bar called the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in downtown Moscow. November 13th at 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on video at a local food truck called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street. At 1:45 a.m., they used a private ride for a ride home from downtown to arrive at their residence. Now, if you haven't already seen the video I just posted of Kaylee's family speaking out in an interview, the family talks about how law enforcement has this timeline wrong. So we are also going to go over the family's timeline at the end of this video. Now for Ethan and Xana. Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive. On November 13th at 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana are believed to have returned to the residence. It was previously reported that Ethan lived in the home. However, it has been determined that he was only visiting. Now again, Xana's father has spoken out in an interview and says that he last spoke to his daughter at midnight and that she was at home. So she would have been home before the 1:45 a.m. Now for the 2 surviving roommates. On November 12th, detectives believe that the 2 surviving roommates had also been out in the community separately. On November 13th at 1 a.m., they returned home and the 2 did not wake up until later that morning. On November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence on one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow Police Department responded to the residence and found the 4 victims on the 2nd and 3rd floors. November 17th. Autopsies, the Leda County coroner confirms that the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated the 4 victims were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of SA. At this time, detectives do not believe the following are involved in this crime: the 2 surviving roommates, the male in the Grub Truck surveillance video, private party driver who took Kaylee and Madison home, or any individual at the residence when the 911 call was made. Additional information related to the investigation. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. Investigators are aware of multiple calls from victims Madison and Kaylee to a male. Online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. No sign of SA. Local businesses were contacted to determine if a fixed blade knife had been recently purchased. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Currently, no suspects have been arrested and the weapon has still not been located. To date, nearly 646 tips have been received. All tips are processed, vetted, investigated, and cleared. 90 interviews have been conducted with individuals who may have information about the murders. Detectives are seeking all outside surveillance video taken from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th from businesses and residents within the geographical area listed below. Detectives request all available videos where there appears to be motion and content or not, and then they list the areas that they're looking for videos from, as well as this map. Anyone who observed suspicious behavior, has video surveillance, or can provide relevant information about these murders is asked to call the tip line at 208-883-7180. And then at the press conference, University of Idaho President Scott Green spoke. He gave condolences to the families and victims. We share frustration of our students and community members. They have ramped up security measures at the university. Their primary focus is to service students and their needs. They are allowing students to complete the semester off and on campus. The Idaho State Police has presence on the campus. A safe walk is available 24/7. Residence halls are locked 24/7, and guests must be accompanied by a resident. There are also live-in directors to assure safety. We're going to go over the questions that were asked during the press conference. The first question was, why do you believe these are targeted killings, and do you know who was the actual target? We believe they are targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Not able to say at this point in time if it was one person who was targeted due to the investigation, but still believe that it was targeted. Question number 2, do you have the resources that you need? We do. Idaho State Police, Laydock County, FBI, and if we need additional resources, we can just ask. Number 3, was the killer the 911 caller? And he responds, I will tell you, no. Number 4, did the roommate make the call or was it another individual? It was made from the roommate's phone. We're not going to divulge who made that call, part of our investigation, and when we're ready to release that, we will. Number 5, has the male subject who the women called been ruled out as a suspect or a person of interest? Everything that we have taken from those calls, we have followed up on, we've cleared, we believe there's no connection there. Question number 6, can you conclusively rule out the person who made the 911 call from inside the home as a suspect in this case? I don't think I said it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone. Question number 7, was someone there other than the 2 roommates when the police responded? He answers, there were other friends that had arrived at the location. Now, this is the first time we've heard about other people being at the scene. Then the question was asked, how many? And he responds, honestly, I'm not quite sure at this time, to be honest. Do you have an idea if the killer is still in the community, or are you looking outside of the community for the killer? We're looking everywhere that evidence would lead us. I can't say if that person is here or what community this person is in. We're using every resource we can to make that location of that individual. And part of that is the safety of our community is paramount, and that's why we've brought in the resources we have to keep our community as safe as we can. The next question was asked if they were looking across the border or what locations they were looking in. He responds that they're looking everywhere. Do you still believe that this attack was by one perpetrator? And if so, how does one person kill all 4 people and not wake up the other roommates? Our investigation will continue looking into all avenues of that investigation. I cannot disclose any of that information. I don't even know what the information is at this point in time, and that's why we're continuing to investigate. Question 12. So you don't know how this happened without the other 2 roommates hearing it? And he says, we do not. Can you say which of the victims were found where? Not going to disclose that. They were found on the 2nd and 3rd floor. That's as far as we're going to go with that part of the investigation too, because all those key pieces do come to play later. So now we're going to talk about Kaylee's family's interview that they did, where they discussed the timeline. So Kaylee's family says that Kaylee's sister was able to verify these times because Kaylee was on her mother's cell phone plan. So according to Kaylee's sister, Kaylee and Madison got picked up from their home on November 12th at 10:15 p.m. They got to the corner club around 10:20 p.m. Law enforcement said 10. Kaylee and Madison are seen at the food truck at 1:40 a.m. and Kaylee calls for an Uber or a ride at 1:45 a.m. Her ride arrives at 1:49 a.m. They get into the car at 1:50 a.m. and they arrive home around 1:56 or 1:59 a.m. Kaylee makes a series of phone calls to Jack. She calls Jack a total of 6 times, starting at 2:26 a.m. with her last call at 2:59 a.m. And then law enforcement believes the murders took place between 3 and 4 a.m. So Kaylee making her last call at 2:59 a.m. is very significant. Now, in my opinion, the family's timeline fits much more precisely because from the food truck video alone, if Kaylee and Madison arrive at this food truck at 1:40 a.m., we know they're on the camera for 10 minutes. So if they're on camera for 10 minutes, starting at 1:40, there's no way that they arrived home at 1:45. Now, could there be a reason why law enforcement is not divulging this information? Maybe, but I'm not quite sure exactly why. Law enforcement's timeline had Ethan and Xana at the party between 8 and 9 or from 8 to 9. I'm not exactly sure. And then they have them arriving at home at 1:45 a.m., which we know from Xana's father, he spoke to her at midnight and she was at home already. Kaylee's family also stated in that interview that they were not all together. So arriving home at separate times is a pretty big deal. And they had Kaylee and Madison going to that corner club at 10. The family says 10:30. They had Kaylee and Madison at the food truck at 1:40 a.m. and home by 1:45. So it's very interesting to see that these times are actually different. They're close, but they're different. So maybe we'll get more clarification in the next press conference. Thank you so much for watching. Please do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon to get notifications for when I post.